Okay, modeler, so today we're starting on our Panther G, the one with the steel road wheels, which confused everybody. They're probably thinking that the kit had steel road wheels. That's only just the name of the version of this tank. It had the steel road wheels rather than the rubber rim ones. But we're starting on it today, and the reason I'm doing this one now, because I've got a little bit of a gap between some other projects I'm doing. I'm waiting for paint and stuff to dry, and a few of my subscribers have asked me for me to do this tank. So I'm going to start on it today, and hopefully I should get this done within the next few weeks. But I just want to show the instructions on these guys. We went through this with the kit review, but like all things, it's starting with the road wheels. Now you got to be careful because there's the B, C, and D parts in here, and I sort of went forward in the instructions. If you don't get these right when you put them together, and also when you put them on the actual vehicle themselves up in the step up in here, you can actually really mix this piece of armour up. I've looked at other reviews on the net, and people have actually got this wrong. They put the road wheels in the different sections, and it just hasn't lined up with the tracks. So I just want to make sure you're aware, guys, when you start this kit, make sure you read all these instructions very carefully about what parts go where, because you've got E3, E6, all these different parts, E2s and stuff that go onto the hull here. If you don't do this right, it's just going to mix it up, and you've got the opposite sides that go on there, obviously. And this is one of those ones with the torsion bars where all the road wheels will actually be movable. If you get them wrong and you glue them in the wrong way, it's going to be hell to try and get them back out of there without breaking off those torsion bars. So anyway, guys, I'll get on with the build, and I'll turn it back on once we start putting the road wheels and stuff together and start putting those torsion bars in, to sort of show you how all that works. The torsion bars are a great idea, but with all these kits that have these things, make sure you get these right. Make sure you read the instructions. If you get these wrong, it's a real nightmare to try and pull them back out again. Anyway, guys, I'll get on with it, and I'll turn the camera back on at the next step. Okay, well, let's say the point we're up to now, I've got all the suspension in there. I've got all the, well, as you can see, all the arms are on there. And I've also put the front guards on. I've put the underside here of the guards. And these are a little bit confusing in the instructions. They have to be glued underneath, and I sort of glued them the wrong way the first time I looked at it. I thought they actually went over the top, but they don't. They go up underneath. So just be aware of that. It's probably just a silly mistake on my part, because it does show clearly that they sort of go up underneath, and I put them on the wrong way. I had to take them back off and put them back on. It's one of those things with dry fitting, guys. If you dry fitted it, you would have known I put them in the wrong way. But this is just what I wanted to show you with these torsion bars. They run through here, it's glued on that side, and it's free on this side. So what happens is, see that? You've actually got movement, and they're all the same. Every leg is exactly the same. So they're glued on one side. They've got a cover over there so they can't sort of pop out. They've got a cover over it so that, like if you push too hard or whatever, it's not going to actually pop out where you've glued it in. Not that you're going to see any of this, but just glue them nice and strong just to make sure they're going to hang in there. But just be careful you don't glue, like if this side here is going to move and you glue too much on this side, what's going to happen is that's going to freeze in spot. The other thing is, if you glue them up too high like that, there's a little pin there and it holds it in place. So make sure, like that they're outside that. So they fit up nice and snug inside the guard like that, but they can move freely as well. Now the idea of that is, like, I suppose as you expect, you've got movement, so you can pose these things anywhere you want. If you want them having running over rocks and stuff like that, you can sort of pose these things as you put the tracks on there, because they're individual tracks. You can sort of glue it and pose these things wherever you want them to be, because this is the actual movement that they would have had in real life. It's not a lot compared to modern tanks, but this is what they had. They had torsion bars, and it did allow them to sort of spring backwards and forwards. I mean, you can't glue it so it's straight up and down, but like the little bit of leverage you got there, that is what you're after. Okay, guys. So anyway, I just want to show you that, just to make sure when you put these sort of things together, you know how torsion bars work, and when you glue them together, make sure you follow instructions really, really closely, because I'm not sure you can see in the light here, but there's just so many pieces to put these together, and if you get them wrong, these just aren't going to line up. Okay, and when you put the road wheels on, it's going to be even worse. Things just aren't going to match. So anyway, guys, I'll keep getting on with this now. I'm going to go on to the next step, which is putting the actual wheels on there. and I'll turn the camera back on to the next step. Okay, modelers, so we're up to the point now we've got the bottom part of the hull together with all the wheels. I'll just quickly throw it down here to show you. Get it to focus for you. There you go, that's all together now. And it's all fitted really, really well. I've put the exhaust in the top part of the hull. Again, I'll get it to focus for you. Now in the instructions it says to glue these down to the hull first and then put this on top, but when I dry fitted it they just wouldn't line up, so I've glued these onto here to make sure they're lined up, and I've had to do a little bit of filing and sanding to get it to sit down onto the hull. It's just something to be careful, because if you don't line them up properly, what was happening is the fans in here were offset to one side. They just didn't look right, even though once this thing's painted that you may not see much of the fans anyway, because there's going to be grill covers and that over that. But even so, it's just something to be aware of, guys. And I've just finished off the back plate here. There's a couple more parts have to go on it, but it's just something you have to be careful of. You can see on the instructions here, this is the back plate here going together, and there's so many little parts that have to put this together. The jack is assembled separately, the exhaust systems are assembled separately, and then it's just got arrows pointing in to show where they go. And there's lots of little parts in there, little handles and things like that, that it's got arrows and showing the part where they go down onto it, but you've got to follow the line down and just see exactly where they go. It's very fiddly. Use tweezers, and I use the extra thin cement, and also had some extra thin cement, but it's the fast setting stuff, to sort of hold those pieces in and then hit it with the glue and set it correctly. But it's one of the things with these Dragon kits, guys, that they're over-engineered as far as like parts like that go together in lots of little pieces, where if you had like say a Tamiya kit, a lot of the times the jack is just one piece. It's all moulded in one piece. It's much quicker to put them together, but it depends on what sort of model you are, whether you like doing the over-engineered stuff. I actually enjoy it sometimes. I actually really enjoy putting this together, seeing it all sort of come together as I've done it. It does make it look a little bit more detailed, and a little bit more realistic, whereas the Tamiya stuff is easier to put together, and it is really nicely moulded, but you can see it's in one piece. But anyway, guys, I'll keep getting on with this, and I'll turn the camera back on at the next. Okay, modelers, just a quick little tip here on building this. Now, on this page here, step 8, you've got a few little parts to do, but one of them is this fan over here. Now, this one's not a standard one. This is the more raised type one with the pinwheel in the middle. And you can actually build this up on this page. Now, what it doesn't show you, though, is when you go over to the next step, you have the option of putting either the one you've just built or the standard one onto the back. Now, if you've built this one here and you go to put it on, there's actually pins on there like lugs that have been put on the previous step, which I'll show you here now. Get this to focus. These lugs are in the way, and if that did go down there, you'd have to fill in the gaps where those lugs were. If you take them off, there'll be gaps on the edge of it. So what I'm going to do, even though I've built this now, I'm thinking that I might just stick with the standard ones rather than going through the work of taking those out and filing it down. Plus, you know, it just overhangs and it just doesn't look quite right. So just be aware of that, guys, when you go to do that step. That's just a little thing I got caught on. Even though I've been through the instructions, that's something I didn't pick up before. So I'm just going to, you know, like you spend about 20 minutes putting that together, that piece, with the photo etch and everything, and it's just a damn shame to waste it. But you know, like it's just like I say, there's going to be even more work now to try and get the thing to fit on there. So, but I'll keep going with the build. I'm going to make my mind up about that a little bit further on. But it's just a bit of a thing to look for in these instructions, guys, if you ever build this kit. And I'll keep getting on with the build, guys. Okay, modelers, so the point we're up to now, I've got the top deck done, and I've got all the little small bits and pieces on there. Now they're actually held on with white glue at the moment. The reason I do that is so I can pull them off easy enough if I want to paint them separate to the actual hull when I actually do the painting. Some of these parts are going to be really, really hard to paint if I sort of leave them on there. If they're glued in place and I've got to try and paint the tools and the racks and stuff separate, it might be a little bit hard to do. So I put them on with white glue at the moment. I'm going to see how it goes. If I have to pull them off, I can pull them off. If I like the place they're in, I can pull them off and then re-glue them later on. It's not a hassle. All I've got to do is sort of put a sharp blade under there, pull it out, and clean out the glue with a bit of water, and then push them back in place and put the Tamiya cement in there, the quick set cement. One of the things I haven't done yet is put the vent on this side. You can see the one on this one here. I've got the open vent. Now it gives you the option to have an open or closed vent on this. I like the open vent because you can look down and see the grill inside there. I'm going to do the same on this side. I just hadn't set properly yet, so once that sets properly, I'm going to put the top grill on that as well. Also, you probably notice in here I've dug a hole in that. I'm going to put a few scratches and dents over the vents because these parts of the armour, if they had been crawling over it and using tools and stuff like that, they would have copped a few dents over it. So I've torn a hole in that one there to make it look like something heavy's been dropped on it. I'll do a few scratches and dents over them. That's probably the only hole I'll put there, but I'll put a few little dents just to make it look sure like it's been sort of used. Now all the small fine parts you can see all over the hole on this side, same on this side here. I have to be careful handling this, guys, because it's still actually wet. But be very, very careful when you're doing this, because in the instructions there are so many little lines and little pieces that have to go together to put all these tools and stuff on there on the racks. And there's a few places there where there's actually options about different things that you can use on there. Now, I've gone with sort of pretty much the standard setup on there. Also, the other thing is the fan on the back here I was talking about earlier. Now, all it took was to take off one of those little hooks on the back there. I took that off, flattened it down, and put that on there, and it's come up actually quite nice. It didn't take a lot of work to do that at all. So just be aware of that. If you build the kit, like I was saying earlier, you've got to be aware you can have a raised vent or just the standard lower vents like that. But to put the raised vent in, just don't put this bottom hook in there, and it'll fit on there quite nicely. Other than that, I think that's pretty much about all I can tell you at this stage. But I just have to emphasise this: be very, very careful with the small parts, the fine parts. Some of them are really, really fine, like the little pins that go through in the back here. They're very, very fine, and when you cut them away from the sprue, there's little lugs on there you have to take off. So I use tweezers and holders and stuff to trim them back and sand them back to get them to fit through the holes. It's very, very fine sort of work, but it's definitely, well, to me, it's definitely worth doing that fine work to get a nice setup like that. Otherwise, you're going to have a fairly plain looking hole there, and if you put all these tools and stuff on there, it looks like it's fairly busy. And when we paint the piece of armour, it's actually going to make it really liven up once you start colouring all the tools and things like that. But so far, guys, everything's fitted together really, really nice. All these tools, the holes that are in the hole there to fit the racks and that, they've actually lined up really, really nice. One of the other things we've got to do when I put it together, you can see one of the instructions here, a bit of the wire's got to wrap around there. There's some spare tracks that are going to go over to the side here. There's wire goes down, hangs off those, like hangs off the spare track hangers here to go down to wrap up those. So there's lots of little details and lots of little things, and it's all on one page. Steps 10, well, that's all it's got on here. Step 9 and 10 and 11 on that page, and there's so many little details. So just be very, very careful. Read your instructions over and over, and as you're going through it, keep double checking stuff. And yeah, I'm very happy with the way it's turned out, and I'm glad I went with just sort of the basic build because it looks really, really good. But anyway, guys, I'll keep getting on with this, and I'll turn the camera back on at the next step. Okay, modelers, so we're at the point now where she's pretty much all together, and like all the little fine details on this thing, that is the most important part. I found that as I'm going through all these little tiny details that go on the hull, on the bottom part of the hull and the turret, there's a lot of them, and the instructions, you have to read them very, very carefully. These little hooks up here, there's some metal parts, but there's not enough of them to go all the way around, and there's a couple of plastic parts as well that sort of replicate what those metal parts are. But you can see the plastic part here, it's a little bit wider, it's not rounded and like the other ones are, the metal parts, but it'll suffice to sort of fill in that gap there. And there's another two supposed to go in there too as well. I'm just going to make out that they've been knocked off because that's over the side of the turret where they just sort of crawl out and go down the side, so they might have taken those off. The only other thing that I haven't put on there yet is some of the stowage, like bags and things like that. I haven't put the other grill on over the other side here because I've actually seen some other models that people have done, and they've left that off and they've sort of scratched and dented it up. So I'm sort of going to leave it bare like the others, and just leave this one here with the open grills on it. There's not much else I can sort of say about it. The only thing I've got left to do now is the tracks, and these hooks at the back here, and same on the other side, that's where the tracks hang off. Plus you're going to have tracks hanging off up the top around the turret as well. And they're things I'm going to sort of put together now. I'm going to go through the tracks because there's a set of magic tracks. I'll just grab them over the side here. Come in a bag like that. You've probably all seen magic tracks if you've done these dragon kits before. So you've got so many to make each track, and there's a heap of spares as well. Plus there's like the like the hook up parts in between those tracks that we've got to sort of hook up with wire on the other side, but I'll show you that as we get to that point. I haven't had any real hassles. The only part is the top part of the turret here where you put the gun on. You got to be careful if you glue the gun together. This piece, the mantle over the top of the gun here, doesn't fit properly, so you sort of got to muck around with it before you glue it in place. If you sort of glue it together the way it says in the instructions, you're going to end up sort of running to the problem where you try and put it on there and there's going to be not enough space for it. So I found that sort of dry fitting it and mucking around with it until I got it to where I wanted and then glued it, it worked out quite well. I've got the barrel sort of a little bit elevated, but it's almost flat, but it's just a little tiny bit elevated. And the muzzle on the end of it, the muzzle brake, I've got a metal one coming. Actually, I've got a whole metal barrel coming for this thing, so it's glued in there, but only with white glue. It's probably going to be another week before that turns up, guys, so I'm going to paint this thing with that plastic barrel on it. So please forgive me if if the barrel looks a little bit rough. I'm just not worried about cleaning it up too much because I've got a metal one coming for it. I like to use the metal ones because they're just a little bit more precise and you haven't got that seam to clean up and all that sort of thing. And I don't know, a metal barrel just gives it a little bit more weight and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, guys, when I do the metal barrel, I'll probably make another update video just to show you photos and stuff. But anyway, guys, what I'm going to do now is going to get on to doing the individual tracks, doing the tracks up for it, and getting the tracks to lay around the top part of the turret and the tracks to hang off to the back on the hooks here. So anyway, guys, I'll turn the camera back on at the next step. Okay, modelers, so we're all together here now. Pretty much everything's together. I just want to hang a few more little bits of odds and ends on it, but I'm going to do that after I paint it. I'm talking about helmets and sacks and different things like that I'm going to hang off her. I was thinking about hanging some stuff off the nose as well, but I'm sort of going to get, I don't know, I'm just sort of going to play it by ear as I put it together, or as I paint it, and see whether I want to put some stowage on the nose as well. I've got a few photos of other models that people have done, and I got the idea from that, and it looks good because they sort of busy it up a bit. Now this is one of those holes when you see the picture on the cover and you see it on the internet, most of the time it looks like it's very plain, there's not much on it, but when you actually build it, there is quite a bit of equipment hanging off this thing, and that's just straight out of the kit. This is straight out of the box. I haven't put anything extra on it, and I've got to tell you, this has been one of the nicest kits I've built. Everything's gone together really, really well. The only place I really had any sort of difficulty is putting the back plate and getting it to sit up properly, nice and square along the back there. And there's still actually a couple little gaps there that I've got to clean up. I'm just going to put a little bit of putty there, sand them back, and then I'm going to go on to the painting. As far as the painting goes, I'm still sort of deciding. There's two schemes I want to go with, but as the video goes on, obviously you'll see which one I decide, but I've just got to go through my paints and make sure I've got the colours that I'm after. But anyway, guys, like I say, really, really nice kit to build. Absolutely beautiful to put this thing together. Like dragon kits, sometimes they're hit and miss. Some dragon kits I'll put together where things just don't line up and there's gaps, and you've got to put clamps on it and stuff like that to get the whole together. But this thing has been absolutely beautiful to build. Even the stowage and all that sort of thing, it's not over-engineered. Like there's some fine detail you have to put together, but it's not over-engineered. Some of the kits I've built, there's so much photo etch and different things that it's a real pain to put together. But this has been absolutely beautiful. It's been a joy to build. So anyway, guys, first thing I'm going to do is put an undercoat on this. I'll wait for that to dry, then I'm going to do with the base colours and the camo or whatever. But I will turn the camera back on at those steps. Okay, modelers, so the point we're up to now, I've got the base coat on, and then I'll put putty over the parts I want to stay, that base yellow colour. That's that Panther putty I've talked about in a few of my videos now. I'll just grab the tin here so I can show you. It's called masking putty, this one here come from Meg. But it's also called Panther putty and a few different things, but really good stuff to use. So I've been over to use that to mask the areas that I want to stay that base yellow. Then I've sprayed the green in the areas where the green's going to be. And what I've done, I've also put a few drops of white into the green after I've done it, and just sort of sprayed the white green up the middle of where the green is, to fade it out in the middle of that green a little bit, just to sort of give it a little bit of tonal variation rather than just having just that straight flat green there. I want to try and break it up a little bit, give it a little bit of life, bring a little bit of variation to it. So that's all I've done, put a few drops of white in there and put that up the middle. We'll probably do a bit more fading later on with oils and things like that, but The next step is now I'm going to mask up the green where I want the green to stay, and then comes the red-brown colour, which once I do the red-brown, the first coat, again I'll put some drops of white in it, and I'll give that a tonal variation as well by spraying the white brown up the middle of where I put the brown to break that up as well. Once I've let that set and dry, I'll go on to the next step. I'll put all the masking up, and then I'll probably put some clear on there and do the decals. The decals. I've got a few people complain about the way I say that, but anyway. So once I've done that, once the decals are on there, then I'll go on to the next step of doing the actual weathering, where I'll start toning everything up and doing pin washes and fades and things like that. Put a few streaks on the old girl. But anyway, guys, I'll keep getting on with this, and I'll turn the camera back on at the next step. Okay, modelers, so the point I'm up to now, as you can see, all the camo patterns done and everything. I've been around, done a slight pin wash. You can probably see in the... I'll try and hold this up so you can see it. Yeah, the pin wash has just been put in all the, you know, like in the grooves and things like that, just to sort of make those stand out a little bit more. It's still shiny from the gloss coat that I put over it. And what I'm doing now, I'm going around fading down those colours, like I was saying, just with some oils. Now, the way I'm doing this is I've got an old brush, this one here, just a really stiff old brush. I've mixed some oil paint, so I just got a little bit of white and a little bit of a light sort of tan looking colour there. And it's more white than it is tan. I've just got a little bit over here on the side, and this brush has already been dipped in it. Then I'll wipe off the excess on a tissue. And then I'll just go up to, I'm doing the yellow colour at the moment. Hopefully this will stay focused for you, because I've got to put my goggles on to see what I'm doing here, guys. But you'll see as I go through the middle, you can see that brush is leaving that white behind. Okay, so you don't want a lot on there, just a bit like that. And now what I'm going to do, I've got a brush here that's just a big feathery end, and I just rub that around, and what that does is just smooths it all out. Okay, so it's not too stark, and it just sort of, you know, blends it really well. Okay, and as you can see, that's actually faded that yellow down. Now it looks a little bit harsh in this camera, but in real life it looks quite good. And when we put the flat coat over, it's going to sort of kill that and dull it down a little bit. So, and plus a little bit more weathering, bit of dust and stuff like that. So don't be too scared of it. But this is a technique that can be overdone as well. So just keep building it up to the point where you like it. Now some people do this after they put the flat coat and stuff on. I like to do it with the gloss coat. The reason being is if I make a mistake and I don't like it, I can just rub that clean off there, and it's not going to affect the gloss coat. It'll just come straight off that gloss coat. If I had a flat surface on there, that oil is going to be really hard to remove. Okay, so, and again with the blending, guys, you can blend it as much as you want. But anyway, I'm going to keep going on with this. I'll keep building up the layers until I'm happy with it. But I'm going to do the same with the green and the brown. Obviously I'll mix some green and white and brown and white to do those, and kill those down a little bit as well. Just be a little bit careful going over the numbers on the side here, because you don't want to sort of have green and brown stuff over that, but we can kill those down a little bit as well. The flat coat will kill those, plus I'm going to do a little bit of streaking, dust streaking and stuff down the side, and that'll kill those down a little bit as well. But anyway, guys, I'll keep getting around with this. This is a pretty time consuming process. You know, you keep sort of touching it up until you get to the point that you're happy with, so it does take a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth the process to do. Okay, modelers, so the point I'm up to now is I'm going to weather the road wheels up and all underneath the guards and all that sort of thing. Now what I'll do, I'll just quickly show you the other side. Now the other side I've sort of been around and done most of the weathering. I've got a little bit more to do with touch-ups and things like that, but that's pretty much what it's come up like. The light might be a little bit bright at the moment, guys. It might look a little bit washed out to you, but I've still got to go over and put the silver on the top of the tracks and all that sort of thing. I've got a little bit more weathering to do to sort of bring it to life. All the tools and that have got to be finished off with some silver edges and things like that. But to show you how I got to this stage, that's what I'm going to do now, is just, I'll get this to sit the right way so it'll focus for you. I'm just going to show you how I weather the road wheels and up underneath the guards. Now, the first thing I do, I just use an old rubbishy brush like this thing here. And I've got 4 different colours of weathering powders over the back here. You can probably see those coming into shot there now. Now all I'm going to do, just forgive me if I go astray, guys, because I'm doing this always, like always, at a weird angle. I've got one colour here, I'm going over, putting a little bit of it down, just in some random places. I don't want to cover the whole lot just in that one colour, so I'm just going to do it in a couple of random places like so. Pat it down a little bit to sort of break up the clumps that are in the weathering powders a little bit. Okay, we'll worry about the tracks a little bit later. I'm only doing this on the road wheels at the moment. Okay, like so. And then I'll go to another colour. And it doesn't matter if you sort of overlap a little bit with the colours, guys. It's to sort of try and blend it all together anyway, so it's not going to matter if you overlap a little bit. It's just to sort of make sure you cover all the areas. And like you can see there's 4 different colours to play with, so you know, you've got plenty of different colour and variation you can sort of mix in and all that sort of thing. So use some different colours, but it's got to depend too on what sort of terrain you want this to sit on. If you've got a diorama in mind that you want it to sit on, make sure you use the colours that are going to suit that. Okay, now with a really bright colour like this one I'm using now, okay, you don't want to go overboard with that, just a little bit to sort of break up them darker colours a little bit. So I go a little bit sparingly with that, and I try and blend it in a little bit with the other colours. Now there's a fair bit on that back road wheel, as you can see there now, but I'll break that up with the next colour I'm going to use. Okay, and again, like you can see, I'm sort of blending it in as well. I'm sort of using the other colours and blending it all in. So I'm going to go to a bit of a darker colour now. Okay, you can see that lighter colour that's in there is going to sort of be blended in as I sort of dab this darker colour around. Okay, now the idea is you got a good variation of tones in there. Okay, so the idea is that these bits of armour normally ran over lots of different roads and lots of different terrains, and you know, even in one day they could go over all types of different soil, so they would have a lot of variation of mud and different things all over them. So okay, I'm fairly happy with what I can see there now. I'm just going to sort of blend them in a little bit, okay, and make sure I've got no gaps. And you don't want to sort of swirl it or anything, just sort of dab down on it to just get them break up and sort of mix in a little bit, like so. Okay, I may have to go over this and do it again, like with another coat, but this is just to show you guys on the video. Hopefully you can see this coming up. It does look a little bit bright. I'll try and lift that light off there a little bit so it's not quite as washed out looking. I can't sort of tell by looking into the camera the way I'm looking at the moment. It does look a bit washed out to me, so hopefully you can see this. Now all I've got now is a fairly thick brush, well a little bit thicker, but it's an old rubbishy brush. I'm dipping it in some white spirit, and all I'm going to do is wet it and just touch it on the road wheels in different places. Now this is one thing you don't want to swirl around, guys. Just touch it, so, and you can see the capillary action is making that run out to all the areas. I'm wetting all that weathering powder, and what that's going to do is help it to sort of settle in, blend in a little bit, and this will help it sort of cling to the surface. Okay, now the good thing about having a I've got a, well, it's not a completely flat surface, it's a satin surface I've got on there at the moment, so if I don't like this I can pretty much wipe it off and I can try it again. If I don't get the results I want this first time round, I can take it off there and I can do it again. So just bear with me, guys, as I go through and make sure this is all wetted down, because I don't want it to sort of fall off as I turn the tank over, because I want to show you one more time the other side that has been finished so you can see the final result. But I actually use a different product for this weathering spirit. It's called, for the white spirit, it's called Shellite. We get it here in Australia. I'm not sure about you guys in the States or anywhere else, but it's called Shellite. It's a very subtle sort of white spirit. So it does the same thing, but it's just more subtle. It's not as severe on the paintwork underneath, so if you start sort of rubbing it around, at least it's not going to break through that clear surface and destroy your paintwork underneath. It's the last thing you want. I have used white spirit in the past, and there's a few different types of paint. It depends on what types of paint you use. Sometimes white spirit I found can break through. If it's been on there long enough and you rub it hard enough, it'll end up going through and it'll destroy the paintwork underneath, and you don't want that. Where I found with Shellite, if you're careful with it and don't sort of overdo it, don't rub too hard and all that sort of thing, it's pretty good. I haven't found too many paints that it doesn't work with. So there you go, guys. I've got the white spirit over all that now. That'll settle down, that'll dry. Now once it's dried, on the other side here. I've already done this trick, but I'll just quickly show you, just very, very subtly. I've got a fairly feathery sort of brush like this one here, and all I do is go over and just give it a rub, and you can see some of it comes off, some of it stays there. Now what that does, it leaves a dusty effect, and it also leaves some of the thicker parts clinging on there. Okay, and on the highlighted parts, it sort of brushes those off, so you haven't got bits of weathering powder hanging off all the bolts and wheel lugs and things like that. So just give it a blow. And as you can see, it comes up quite nice, guys. I'm really hoping this camera is not too washed out for you guys, because it's, to me, looking in the thing there, it does look a bit washed out. But you see up underneath the guards there too, I've done the same technique there, except I haven't brushed it off. I've left it all clung up underneath there, because that stuff wouldn't have rubbed too much. It would have just all been dirt and mud sprayed up under there and just collected over the time they would have been out. Same up underneath this guard here. I just sort of sprayed it up in there. The other thing I'm going to do is do a little bit of mud flicking, which is I'll wet I'll sort of moisten up the weathering powders and put it on a toothbrush or a feathery brush, and I'll just sort of flick it like that, so it's got a few mud flicks up the side as well that would have dried on there. But I've got a few more techniques that I've actually got on there that I'll explain as I go through it, but I'll show you quickly show you on the front here. You can see that's all sort of been dusted down there now, and I've got a few scratches. The scratches are only done with a, we call it chipping colour. This guy here, it's an AK Interactive chipping colour with a really, really fine brush and a sponge. Just go over, do the chipping with that, and then all I've done, I've used the weathering powders and a nice soft brush, and just sort of gone up and down and sort of weathered it and streaked it, and just give it a nice dusty effect. This one here is not going to be covered thick in dust and mud. This one's going to be sort of like it's been off road, but it's going to be on a little bit of tarmac and running along a little bit later on. So but anyway, guys, I'll keep getting on with this, and I'll show you those other techniques as I get to them. Okay, modeler, so the point I'm up to now, I'm just trying to dust up the hull a little bit. And I don't want it to be sort of super dirty or anything like that with mud and dirt all over and all that sort of thing like I've done in some of my past videos. I just want it to be really dusty, looking like it's been off-road. It's got a bit of dust and stuff over time. They haven't had time to clean it, so it's just got dust collected on the hull. So all I'm doing to do that effect, I'll just quickly show you this side. Hopefully you can see the difference. This side here I actually have already done. Turn around a little bit more so you can see it in the back here. I've already done this side here. This side here hasn't been done yet, and hopefully you can see it's a little bit more shiny on that side, and you can see it's sort of dust and different variations of tones and that on that side there. So all I've done to do that, I'm using weathering powders again. You can use oils and different things to do this. I just like to use weathering powders to get like a nice dusty effect. I just find it a little bit more effective. So all I'm doing to do that is, I'll just find the brush. I did have it here a second ago. I've lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so again, I've just got the different coloured weathering powders off to the side, and all I'm doing is, again, just putting dabs of it around. You don't want a lot of it, okay? So just put little tiny dabs of it around different places. You only want little tiny bits and pieces, okay, of each different colour. If you put too much down, it's going to end up looking way, way too dirty, okay? Now, some of these chipping effects I've done up around the front here, you can see look like they're a little bit overdone. But once we put these different coloured weathering powders and scrub them in, a lot of that will actually disappear. Well, not so much disappear, but it'll sort of dull it right down, okay? So again, some different coloured weathering powders. You don't want just one colour, you want a few different ones. Now, again, with the light colour, I just try and sort of spread it around a lot. Like so, I just sort of splash the brush around like that, so it just sort of flicks it off and it sort of spreads everywhere, okay? And then I'll go over with another darker colour again, like so. And again, I just sort of, at this stage here, I just want it to sort of spread around a little bit, so I'm sort of flicking it a little bit, like so, okay? And you want some on these vents as well. But just be careful with the vents. You don't want to sort of overdo the vents. You don't want to clog up the vents and stuff. No, once I've got that down there, I'm going to use a bit of a more of a feathery brush, this one here, okay, and I'm going to dab down on it to start with, to sort of get those colours to sit where they are, those different colours that we're talking about that we've spread around. And at the same time, I'm going to sort of spread them around a little bit. It's the way you use the brush. It's not like flicking it and sliding it. It's just sort of like just a little tiny movement. As you dab down, you're sort of dabbing off into different directions to sort of get it to spread around a little bit, okay? We'll do the back a little bit later on. I've rusted the exhaust a little bit, but I've got a lot more to do on those yet. So just get it to sort of all sit down nice in the different colours and the different areas, like so. And the thing with also dabbing it off and scrubbing it at the same time, it gets it to sort of push into that satin coat we got. It gets the pigment to sort of hang in there a little bit, okay? So go over it a few times just to get it to make sure it is definitely sitting in there where you want it. Like so. Now in this part here, in this vent, I haven't put much in there, but I don't want a lot in that anyway, because the vents should be fairly clean because they're sucking and blowing air and stuff like that. So okay, we're at that point now, and what I'm going to do is go blow off the excess, and then I'm going to sort of scrub around a little bit more. It's the same thing, dabbing down and scrubbing. Like each time you dab down, push it off in different directions, like so. And what this will also do, guys, it'll get the powder to sit into the grooves and into the recesses where dust would collect, okay, where it's really hard to clean it out, and where the tank crews definitely wouldn't have cleaned it out of those areas, okay. Like I say, I'm scrubbing around, dusting it around a little bit, blow it off again, and now I'm really going to sort of swirl the brush around a little bit and get off a bit more excess, like so. And as you do this, you'll see that it sort of blends in. All those colours are starting to really blend in, and you're getting lots of different colours of dust and stuff in there, okay, all over the whole tank, like so. And blow off the excess again, and you keep doing that as much as you want, guys. If you wanted to leave it at this stage, you can, okay. The one thing is, if you keep brushing, it's going to brush out of all those grooves, so I try and steer a little bit clear of the grooves, or if I am going over the grooves, I try and, you know, just brush a little bit lighter. And I'm fairly happy with that result there now. Hopefully, because again, I can see this camera looks like it's a little bit washed out, but hopefully you can see that effect we got on there. It looks nice and dusty, but it doesn't look like it's just like, you know, an inch deep in dirt and stuff like that. So anyway, guys, I'm doing that over the rest of the tank now, over the turret and all that sort of thing. The only other thing I ought to do is rust up the spare tracks that are hanging off the turret, and then I'm going to go over and do the silver edging, and I've also got to finish off the exhaust. I want them to be a little bit more rusted up looking there, a little bit plain looking there at the moment. But we're getting a little bit closer to being finished now, guys. I'm not too far off. So anyway, I'll keep going, guys, and I'll turn the camera back on at the next step. Okay, modelers, so we are finished off here now. Since the last shot that I took, as you can see, I put all the greenery on there. But I've also been around and done all the tracks and sprockets, and anywhere that would have been silvered up, anywhere that was raw metal, like where the track's been rubbing on the road, things like that. Some of the tools, the edges of the tools, stuff like that. And I just done that with a pencil, a lead pencil, and I sort of sharpen down, go around and do that. I've rusted up the tracks, the spare tracks on the side there. Been around, I've finished off the exhaust. You'll probably pick it up a little bit better in the stills, but I've rusted them up and just put the black soot just around the outlets there, so that it shows that the black soot sort of built up around that area. The base that I've got this on, guys, this is actually made by a good friend of mine. He made this base because he got sick of seeing me put these models up on my bases, which are very, very ordinary, I must admit. So being a good mate, he's actually made me up this base to sort of display some of my models on. So obviously the tracks don't sit flat on that paved road. This is more for wheeled vehicles, as in, you know, rubber tyres and stuff like that, where I can pose them a little bit better on that paved roadway. But I'm very happy with the way it's come up, guys. There's not much else more that I've done since I last seen you, except for that silvering up, going around, touched up a few little areas and stuff like that. The greenery is just some railway greenery that I sort of picked out of a packet. The barrel I've wrapped around, it's a really, really fine tape that I got. It's not Tamiya, but it's like a Tamiya tape, but it's really, really finely cut. And I use that and wrap it around, but it's obviously painted as in like a rope or strap colour that I would have used to strap that on. The rest of the branches are just stuck in there. I would have been like, to keep fresh branches, they would have just grabbed branches off trees, jammed it in where they could, get it to sit there and give it a little bit of camouflage, you know. But yeah, not much else I've done since then. Just remember that the steel road wheels, guys, you've got to do all the faces and in between the tracks and everything in that silver, to give it that sort of that running look. If it's not in the dirt or mud or anything, that would have all been silvered up, and yeah, all the edges would have been nice and shiny. So that's all I've done, guys, since I last seen you, and hopefully you can see it pretty well in the video. But I will take some stills of this one, guys. I'm very happy with it. Very, very nice build. I've got to admit, this is one of the nicest builds I've done. Everything went together beautifully. There was very, very little fit issues as far as everything went. The detail on this is really, really nice. I'm really happy with the details on it. I could have added some stowage and things like that, but with this particular model, because you've got the spare track racks and all that sort of thing, you can put more spare tracks along the sides at the back here. I've seen photos of people have done, you know, tracks over the whole thing, over the front, back, everywhere. I just didn't want to overdo it with that, but I did see a couple of photos with the nice greenery on there, like a few branches and stuff like that. So I thought if I throw that on there, it's going to break up that colour scheme a little bit, and look like that it's actually in use, where they've just grabbed fresh branches and jammed them in and all that sort of stuff. So like I say, guys, very happy with the build. I'll let the video go now, but at the end of this video, obviously after I've finished talking here, there's going to be some photos rolling with a bit of music and stuff like that. But as always, guys, thanks very much for watching this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed doing this build. And the next one, I promise, guys, I'll try and do an aircraft. Well, I have got another piece of armour. Well, it's not really armour, it's close to armour, but I'm doing that. It's getting close to finish. So I'll either do an aircraft or try and finish the other piece of armour off. I've had a few people saying that they want to see a few aircraft because I've done a bit of armour lately. So, but thanks for watching, guys. I'll put the links down below to the Facebook page as usual. I'll put links down there to Amazon and eBay or whatever else where you can go and buy this kit. Like I say, I can definitely recommend this kit, guys. Really, really nice kit. If you can support me on Patreon, that link's down there as well, guys. But not much else more I can say. If you've got any questions, guys, as always, leave them in the comments down there below. And you know, anything else you want to say, if you like it, if you don't like it, if there's any mistakes I've made, which that does happen, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video.